This book is insane. Insane. The stuff that goes on in the trading in the city, it was like a whole new world to me.
So if I'm sitting here with Tyler, and Tyler's Gary, he's on his laptop.
Yeah.
And the guy's barking at him.
growling. I want to touch on more things that are in the book and that he hasn't spoken about publicly.
Yeah. When he first got the job, remember him and his friends went out drinking. And he was like, I think he was riding a bike, he said, I'm gonna be rich. Like,
I'm gonna be a millionaire. Yeah. Because I think it's time, man, to drop the Quentin Benting.
Go on.
Do you know how much I love this story, man? I was laughing so much when I was reading this. Yeah.
How much money did he make in bonuses?
Give me some options, bro. I gave you 3 options.
I know. We'll do round figures. 4 million, 7 million, or 10 million. He made that trade and he said, how would you feel if an earthquake happened and 20,000 people died and you made $11 million? That's £550 per person.
Wow.
Are you all right?
Welcome to The Power of Pages, where we review books that ignite your mind,
elevate your life,
and drive your ambition. And I go by Ty.
I'm Mr. Fly.
And this episode, we are reviewing Trading Game by Gary Stevenson. He's blown up across social media, across the news, across mainstream too.
Yeah.
You picked this book.
Yeah.
And I want to start off by talking about something we're going to talk about later on.
Okay.
We're not talking about it now. This story is probably my favourite story in, maybe even out of all the books we've read.
Swear.
I'm just going to say 2 words, yeah?
Okay.
A name. Quentin Benting.
Oh, okay.
Quentin Benting.
Yeah.
That story, we're coming to it later.
Okay,
we're coming to it later because it's wild. This book is insane. Insane. The stuff that goes on in the trading in the city, it was like a whole new world to me.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
I mean, just some context maybe on Gary Stevenson. So, Gary Stevenson, I think if you know him, he's an economist. Yeah, he's blown up a lot. He's kind of, he's not actually political. I mean, you know, I want to get your take because you know a lot more about politics than me. So, from my perspective, he's not actually political, but he wants to have a political impact.
He would consider himself political. He would consider himself in politics. Okay. I watch a lot of his videos.
I think the reason I say that is because he's not assigned to a political party.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, fair. Thank you for that. So he he has a theory that I guess we'll get into about the way the economy's going and the way the world's going and the impact it's going to have on regular people's lives, people like you and I, people that we know in society, and that basically anyone except the super wealthy will be affected detrimentally. He grew up in Ilford. He elevated up to like becoming a top trader in Citibank. He studied at the London School of Economics. He was actually kicked out of his secondary school because I think he was selling weed, or he got caught selling weed on like his first time. They kicked him out straight away. But he was exceptionally talented in maths, and he kind of just was able to. He turned his life around. I guess he was quite young, so he turned his life around and done really well. Became the top trader for Citibank. Yeah. And now he kind of left that. If you watched our previous review, I spoke about getting to Cliff Top, and read that. Watch that review and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I think he was there or thereabouts, and he kind of changed his values a little bit slightly, and he wants to actually make a bigger impact and help people. Yeah,
I mean, this book's about his life and the story of his life. It's not about his political views and the goal that he's trying to achieve.
Correct.
And he came from humble beginnings. I think that's important to say, that he came from working class background, and his friends are a working class. He grew up in that environment. So for him to go from that environment to working in Citibank, where he was earning millions, and even his salary was, a standard basic salary. He was mind blown. Like, wow, I'm walking down in my area, seeing all this poverty, and I think the first check he made was like 100,000 or 300. I've got it written down somewhere.
His first bonus.
His first bonus.
13k.
13. Oh yeah, his first bonus was 13k. Sorry, his second bonus was something. Wow. 395. We'll come into that. His second bonus was £395,000 in 1 year.
1 year. Bonus.
Yeah.
But they pay him, or I think it's changed now, but his salary was
39k.
Yeah. So, but, you know,
It's low in comparison.
In comparison. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But some people would still say that's a low salary. But yeah, he's yeah, man. You know what's quite ironic for me? The fact that he grew up looking at the buildings that he ended up working in, which is just very ironic.
Yeah.
That because it's not like he doesn't talk about when he was younger. He wasn't like, oh, you know, my dream is to work in Citibank or whatever. He kind of just found his way there. And that was just, you know, that must have been, I mean, he even spoke about it when he looked out the window of the top of the building and when he went to the top floor and he kind of could see the whole area. So those sort of moments there are they're quite special. Yeah.
This book took me through a whole range of emotions. It was inspiring at times. It was heartwarming. It was also quite sad at times. And yeah, it was motivating also at times. I actually reading it, you know, I couldn't put it down. I normally read in the mornings and I was reading it in the evenings too. This book gripped me. But I guess I wanted to start talking about, like, he got into Citibank, he played a card game, and he talks about, you know, how people that get into Citibank and get in these
you got to talk about the card game, man. Like,
no, I'm going to go into it.
Sorry.
So people that get into Citibank, typically, their parents are millionaires. They've got a hookup, essentially, to get into the Citibank. They've gone to a good college, good university, London school.
Even if, because he was at LSE, that wasn't enough.
That wasn't enough, Because
the network is what you need, right?
So it's the network plus being in the London School of Economics. He got into that school because he was really good at maths. And then he got into Citibank because he played a card game. But
wait, sorry, I just want to add a little bit to it. The first year he was there, he made sure he studied hard, as at the front of the class. I think he had a point to prove. Because he used to go in a hoodie. You know what I mean? He speaks like an East Londoner. Do you know what I mean? So then he realised the second year too, that wasn't actually enough to get him into the good internships. Do you remember? That's why he had to go down the route he went down. So carry on.
So then someone told him about this game that they play to hire their next intern. And someone actually gave him a tip on how to play the game. So he spent weeks playing this game, learning, practicing, and then eventually he went and played the game. And because he had known the rules already, against everyone else didn't know the rules, that was kind of like an unfair advantage. But he was like, you know, I had to cheat. You know, I had to do that in order to, I had to take my advantage somewhere, you know. Like, I'm disadvantaged in every other. I ain't got no rich parent that's I ain't got no hookups. So he went and played the game. And actually in the last round of the game, they rigged the game so that he would lose. And he worked out mathematically that actually someone's rigged this game for me to lose. But even though they rigged it, he still won overall. And they did that to see how he would respond, essentially. And
I think at that point, he'd already won. They just wanted to, that was a test. It was like the final test to see how he'd respond to it. But
So that's how he got into the bank. And I think I want to touch on more things that are in the book and that he hasn't spoken about publicly. Because some of the things he's talked about publicly, some of the things, a lot of this is in this book. Actually, you won't know unless you read the book because he hasn't spoken about. For example, Quentin Benting, which we're still not coming on to yet. I'm holding that one, man, because it's not actually till for a while. I think it's like chapter 8 or something. But I want to talk about the life of a city trader. So he's got this city trader job. And he's come from,
and he's an intern at this point.
And he's an intern, and he's come from the ends. Let's just say that. He's grew up in similar upbringings to us. Just in East London, we're in West London. And now he's gone to the city, and he's working with these like rich people that are earning money. And one of the things that made me laugh was they sent him out to go and get coffees and lunch. And one day they gave him, I think it was £50, or they gave him money to go out. And he came back with the change to give to the guy. You know, I'm an honest guy, I'm not gonna steal the change. And he put it on the desk. And the guy looks at him with disgust. The guy looks at him with disgust. What are you doing? Like, basically, what are you doing? And he says, we don't take back change here. And then he just put the change and put it in his drawer. It's basically saying, Gary, like, if you've gone with the money, keep the change. But he's saying it in such a disgustful way.
He don't want it changed. He don't even care if you keep it. He
Exactly.
Don't want it. Just get rid of it. Put it somewhere.
That's how much money they're making. That they don't care about the little £10 change. That Gary's like, oh, you know, I can use that.
He was making money off that. He was like, he was making money off doing lunches. He was doing lunches, keeping change.
And I thought, like, that's just kind of the environment, the kind of amount of money that they have is like little bits of £10, which is, you know, that's a lot. It's a tenner, bro. Actually, it was nothing to these people. So touch on something.
No, I mean, I just think, well, so let's talk a bit more about, so he went, did his internship. Then part of it, he was kind of like, go shop, you know, go for boy, go and shop boy. And then on his last day, they tried to, they did, everyone, basically the main guy, the manager, I forget his name now.
Was it Caleb, maybe?
Caleb. Yeah. Caleb made him take orders for everyone on the whole floor. Yeah. But luckily, again, I think he's quite strategic, Gary Stevenson, because he had a feeling they would do something like that. So he got he got some of the other interns to help him, basically. Yeah. So he took everybody's order. I don't know how many people, they didn't say, but it must have been a lot of people, a whole trading floor. But then he got the job with Citibank after that.
And after that, they took him skiing, I think. So they made him collect lunch for everyone for the whole office. Then after that, they invited him skiing. So he went on this skiing trip, paid trip, where they're boozing, they're taking drugs on the trip. He's not, you know, he's not someone that or claims to take drugs. You know, he says that, but they're doing all kind of wildness on the ski trip. And what's interesting further down the book is, like, you know, they go for lunches. So the traders, which is what he is, go for lunches with the brokers, who, my understanding is, the traders need the brokers to put on the trades. They're the middleman. They need them.
To connect them.
They need them. I don't understand it properly, but they need them. Anyway, so traders and brokers, they go out for lunches a lot to build their relationships and friendships. Yeah. And one of the lunches he went on, he saw like some guys that he'd met in the skiing. And the guy just acted as if they'd never met before, even though they both knew that they knew each other, but they just acted. No, that was skiing. That was a different time. That was we were having fun then. This is business. They don't need to know that we know each other. And it was just the culture alone, man, was mind blowing.
It's wild. I think it's an eye opener to kind of stuff that goes on, and I think as well there's a lot of what I like about his writing style is, he alludes to a lot of things without saying. So there's a lot that he doesn't say. So I think in that same situation, he talks about, there was at Jay-Z's barbecue or Jay-Z's party or something with the guy. He said he saw someone and he was like, oh, me and him were at Jay-Z's barbecue and he was trying to chat with this model. And you know there's so much more to that story that he doesn't say. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much, and then even like he talks about the drugs and all this kind of stuff, or the environments that they're in, and he says one or two things, and he leaves it to your imagination, which I think is it's good. It makes good reading. I think this book would make a good film.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but you know, I think the rise was quite meteoric. I think the way he got his job after, so that he was told, because he got a lot of advice from other interns as well, and they were like, you've got to make the job your own. The way I see that is you've got to show value. You know what I mean? You've got to show them why we're going to employ you, why are you actually going to get a job, because you do your internship, see you later, bye. But I think with being strategic with where he sat, who he sat next to, who he spoke to. There's a funny story actually. I think it wasn't when he was an intern, when the guy was barking at him. Yes. Was that JB, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Fill in the gaps, but I can't remember exactly what happened. But I think, did he take someone's deal or something like that? What happened?
I can't remember. I might have it written down somewhere.
Something that the guy never liked. Yeah. and the guy... So if I'm sitting here with Tyler, and Tyler's Gary, he's on his laptop. Yeah, yeah. And the guy's barking at him.
growling.
And it's like, what the hell are you...
Like snarling,
growling. Yeah, it's like, what is going on? So I think, I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say to that, because how do you even respond to that?
In a corporate environment, bro. In the city, they're in big boy suits, and this guy's growling at you. Like, that's crazy. What was interesting was he was young, he's from, you know, the ends, he's grown up, he's not experienced a lot of things at this point. I think he's 21, around that age. And it actually reminded me about, you know, learning things as I grew up. I lived in Australia for a year. That taught me a lot. I learned a lot about different cultures. And one of the things was that he went to a hot pot restaurant.
Yeah.
And when I remember, the reason I love this is because I remember going to a hot pot when I was in Australia for the first time. I'd never experienced it before. And essentially, for those that don't know, a hot pot is where you have a grill on the table and, you know, there's a lid over it. You walk in, you don't actually, if you don't know that there's a lid on it. You don't know there's a grill there, sorry. So you take off the lid, they heat it up, and then you just essentially just cook your food on the hot pot. And the first time I went to that was like, oh wow, this concept is great. You just go to a restaurant and you just cook it there, like, oh, this is cool, like this is fun. And he went to this Japanese restaurant, same thing, for, you know, the hot pot, and they started bringing out the dishes, the food, So they brought out the raw food because they've got to cook it, right? So he sits there and he grabs the raw chicken and starts eating it. He starts eating the raw chicken because that's what he thinks. And I think, bearing in mind, before he had just eaten like sushi or something, which he didn't know about, and they're like, oh, it's raw fish. So they're like, yeah, just eat the raw fish. So he's obviously thinking, oh, well, maybe it makes sense, right? Maybe they eat raw chicken too, like, let's try it. So he ate it, and he describes like it was disgusting and it was horrible. And then he said to the guy next to him, he's like, mate, that chicken's disgusting. And the guy said, wait, did you just ate the raw chicken? He's like, yeah. He started just laughing at him. But fortunately, he kept it between them, which was nice. Because also I think that's kind of like their culture as well. It's kind of like, what happens with us stays with us. We don't need to gossip and
sort of thing.
Kind of, but I found that hilarious, man. Like, because he didn't know, innit?
No. Like, it's first time, innit? I guess you never forget that. I think that was like a lot of things about the book as well is like the relationships, but they change, isn't it? The relationships change. So, for example, I don't know if there was a guy, JB, who was one of his main guys that looked after him when he first started. He speaks about a lot of different characters. Yeah. Bill, who he speaks about. Yeah. And you just see over time, Caleb. Yeah. And the list goes on. There's other characters in there, the frog, the toad. Yeah. Different people. And you kind of see how the relationship changes from when he's there as an intern to when he leaves. You know, his relationship with everybody changes in different ways. Some for better, some for worse. But that was, and you know, that was a good kind of thread that I liked through the story, because you see, it's not just like, you know, the person when you first start and you're that blue-eyed guy and you're just like wide-eyed guy, and you kind of like don't really know much, to the point where X amount of years down the line, you're quite experienced. You're even a bit jaded. Obviously, he was definitely jaded for things that happened to him. And your attitudes change, the way you interact with the people that you were worked with that one day you looked up to. Yeah. Now you don't look up to them anymore, because you've seen things. You've been on these crazy night outs, and you've seen the way they work, and then as well now you've even overtaken them. You know, because Bill, I think him and Bill's from up north, from Liverpool. I believe so. Yeah,
somewhere up north.
Somewhere up north. So there's they were quite relatable to one another.
And working class, I think he said Bill came from, so that he kind of, felt comfort around him. Bill's working class. And also Bill mentored him a lot. And one of the things that he did really, he knew Bill was the guy. Bill's the guy that makes the money. Bill's the best guy here.
Bill had an intense work ethic.
Yes.
He was always the first in.
So he was like, I'm going to get in before Bill.
Yeah, facts.
So he started getting in before Bill. He knew what coffee Bill liked. So he started getting in before Bill with his coffee and giving it to Bill. You know, when Bill comes in, Bill, you know, got your coffee. Bill say thanks. And that was his kind of way to get in with Bill and then...
To gain his respect.
I
think he wanted to be... He respected Bill and his work ethic, and he wanted to gain Bill's respect. And he also wanted to learn from Bill, hence why he took those steps. Yeah. And I think when I said earlier that this book took me through different emotions, I think that for me is quite inspiring. It's kind of like, I've got into this city trading life. I want to become the best that I can be. Yes. Bill's the best guy here. How can I learn from him? How can I get Bill to help me and go under his wing? What can I do to impress Bill? Let me wake up at 4:30 and get in before him and get him a coffee. And it was like,
sometimes you have to do these things. You have to do these.
Pay your dues, man.
Pay your dues. And yeah, man, I like that, man. I liked his hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
Yeah, yeah. I think so, yeah. So, and even moving down the line, there was an incident with one of his, and this is where, so Bill was in a position of power. There was also another, his boss's boss, so Kayla's boss, I think the Toad or the Frog, he gives them these funny names.
Yeah.
Obviously, he doesn't like them very much. He doesn't use their real name.
Yeah. And he also gives them all fake names. They're not
they're
actually...
all fake names, yeah, they're all fake names. But he gave Bill a name. He called the Toad. And the Frog. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and the way he describes them. But anyway, one of them two, I forget which one it was. See now, it's hard to get into the, you can help, basically he told him a bad trade. There we go.
Yes.
So the Frog, let's say it was the Frog. The Frog called up Gary and was like, listen, there's this trade. I'm not going to get too technical with it, but it might have been Swedish.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
There's a trade, put this trade on.
Yeah.
Basically. And he, obviously where there's the power dynamic is such that, the Frog's my boss's boss and he's calling me, I need to put on that trade. Excuse me. Now in hindsight, you look at it and he speaks about it, is that rare? What I should have been thinking is, why is this guy calling me? Like he's my boss's boss, he's a big boss, why is he calling me?
Yeah.
He should have, his bat signal should have gone off and been like, right, this is a setup. So basically what happened is the guy called him and said, I'll put on this trade. He's taken his advice and put the trade on. It was a bad trade. And the guy did it to basically sort himself out because the guy knew he put on a bad trade, so he just basically transferred it over to Gary. Now that had happened and he lost out, but he got some good advice from Bill. And Bill's advice was cover your own arse. Do you know what I mean? Or CYA. CYA. And I think, as we know, when we get to the end of the book, that advice helped him out in the end. Yeah. Because, don't even want to go there now, but when you want to get there, there was a time when things got sticky between him and Citibank and they were trying to find dirt. They were trying to find dirt. But because he learned from that experience, plus he had the advice from Bill, there was no dirt to be found. So I think that was quite
And I think what that trade did was put him in, I think it's the red, is it the red and the black? The black's good, the red's, I think, don't quote me on that. It's, anyway, put him in the red. So he's like, how am I going to get out of this? So he started putting on trades. I think, I might be getting my stories mixed up, but he put on a trade that was risky. And
it was the Frog that did it to him, sorry.
The Frog, okay.
Yeah.
And then it started going down. Something happened in the market and it started going down. He's like, yeah, but this can't stay like this forever. This is going to go back up. This is going to switch. So he's telling all his colleagues, no, this is going to go back up. Like, it can't be like this. It's impossible. So each day, it's getting lower and lower and lower till he gets to a breaking point. I think there's a point where Citibank are like, the loss is too much, cut your losses. Yeah. But if he had stayed in that trade, he would have made mad money. Whereas his colleagues who weren't in the red, they took the same trade. They made loads of money off of that because they weren't in the red. So he even though the Toad or Frog set him up, he tried to find a way out of it and tried to make it work, and like he's still hustling, man. He
is. I think without getting too technical, because I don't understand it to the point where I can't articulate it properly, but they trade on interest rates. And I can tell you this actually, their department or their desk in the Citibank, it was called short-term interest rates trading, where they basically buy and sell currencies and they make money on the interest. That's as technical as I'm going to get because it's quite hard to explain. But he explains it well in the book. But obviously it's second nature to him. And what happened at a point was their desk was quite a small desk and wasn't making that much money. Then after the financial crisis is when their desk started actually making. So when the Lehman Brothers and all that kind of stuff crashed and when the markets crashed, they started doing really well. And their department that's when he started making the big bonuses. And their department they were in the corner of the Citibank, then they moved to the centre. Their boss, Caleb, was getting big. They were all doing really well. What I liked, and again, it's a moment of contrast because you think of that, his first bonus, like I said, was 13K.
Yes.
It was this one. Yes, it was this one. When he made that bonus, it was very emotional for him. Like, he was more or less crying. Billy had to tell him, right, go outside, just take 5 minutes. Just take 5 minutes. So he went outside into the garden. He went onto his knees.
Bro, just deep it, just quickly.
Go for it.
You're 21.
Yeah.
You've got a job in Citibank, the people you've grown up with are, poor.
Yep.
You've been poor yourself.
Yep.
You're earning like a salary now in the city, like a decent salary. I can't remember what he started off at. And then now you've been given 13K in one go, one lump sum. 30, like.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
It's mad.
Yeah. Even to go even further back, when he first got the job, remember him and his friends went out drinking. And he was like, I think he was riding a bike. He's like, I'm gonna be rich. Like, I'm gonna be a millionaire.
Yeah.
like it's deep. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? And then now to hit that, so it's such high emotions.
Yeah.
Such high emotions. But then when you contrast that feeling when he got that 13K bonus, which again is a lot of money, but in comparison to what he made, that was nothing.
Yeah.
Like overall, when he got his 395K bonus, okay. Got back to work, but he worked really hard.
No, but he was sad about that when he went home. He got back to work.
Yeah, is that with the earthquake?
I can't remember, but I remember him saying when bonus came, he was 23 and he was invited into the room and was shown that he was getting 395,000, and that was a moment of like sadness. He didn't spend it. He was he wasn't sad about it, but he was like, "This is crazy," A 23
because of his friends that were
his friend, his
carry on, yeah.
No, his friends were, again poor or working in whatever jobs they were, and he's just earned 10 years, 15 years salary, 20 years salary in one go, and it's like it's bittersweet. I think.
But this is when he started to become, for lack of a better phrase, like woke to the disparity.
Yeah.
In a sense of like. He started realising that, well, how this isn't fair. Like, how am I here? Like you said, he's got his friends. They're struggling to pay their mortgages. They're struggling to pay even for the light bill. One of his friends moved in with him. All the issues that he's seeing because he's from the working class, and he's like, I just made 395K. Like it was it's like he worked hard for that money.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually one of his, let's say like what gave him a good advantage. Because what he had was, which we spoke about a little bit in the last review, about the business plan, he didn't have just theory. All these guys from LSE, I'm using his words, not mine, like they were all kind of the same guy, cookie cutter, they're all wealthy and they're from well-to-do families. They don't really have an experience of, they can't relate to what you and I can relate to or what we can relate to. So they think that they don't see the problems with the economy. They don't see that shops are boarded up. People can't pay this, people can't pay that, all that kind of stuff. They can't relate to that. So he can, and he can see it. So even though he's made money off that as well, he was able to make money off that when he started to change. Because another good advice that Billy gave him was, it's about being right when everybody else is wrong. So that's why he actually did so well, because everybody else was doing the same thing, and he was betting, which was betting on the economy to go up. He was like, nah, I can see the economy's not in a good place, and he was betting on the economy to go down. Yeah. And he was doing well off it, and he became the top trader off the back of that. Yeah. But the reason he was doing that is because he took his nose, and again, Billy gave him the good advice. Like, he was reading the books and was like, stop reading the books, go and talk to people. And I think that's where him and Billy could relate, because Billy must was doing a similar thing, because he was one of the top traders as well. So having that relatability and being able to see what's actually going on versus what your teacher's teaching you are, it's a system, isn't it? But if the system's broken, it's broken. And if you can't realise it, more fool you. Do you see what I mean? So he was actually able to see it's broken and say, okay, how can I make money off this? But then it's a bittersweet feeling, because like, yes, I made all this money. Look at the world. Like he talked about, there's one sentence in the book. It's either when he made this bonus or another one, and I've written it down somewhere. There was an earthquake in Japan, and off the back of that trade, this was luck as well. He made a trade. The next day there was an earthquake in Japan, and the trade made like 13 million or something. And everyone was like patting him on the back. Oh, how did you know? And he was like, Ray, how would you feel if 50,000, I don't know how many people died, hundreds of people died, and you just made 13 million? How would you feel? Like, that's such a weird feeling. So I can see why he went where he went to, because you're fighting in yourself, because you're making all this money, but then the money's not making you happy, and then you're looking at the cost of it. It's crazy, man. It's deep.
Yeah, he had some real battles with his morals in the book. And I just want to quickly touch on the first 395,000 that he made, because he went to Caleb and he said to him, Caleb, look, Caleb was leaving, and he said, Caleb, look, I want to make 100.
Caleb was leaving to live the dream.
Yeah.
And sip pina coladas on a boat.
In California.
In California.
And he said, what do I have to do to make 100,000? Yeah. I want to make 100,000. What do I have to do?
Yeah, bonus.
Bonus. Yeah. And prior to this, Caleb said, look, you can ask me anything you want. One question you get. So that was his question. And he said, it's not possible.
Yep.
And then Gary kept asking, what do I need to do? And then Caleb said, well, look, you need to make the bank 10 million. That's what you need to do. So Gary wrote on a piece of paper, he wrote 12 million. And then the trades that he needed to make to achieve it. So he put down a bit of a plan of what he needed.
He's strategic, man.
Yeah,
but that's maths. That's a maths brain as well.
Yeah. Put down his plan, and then later that year he made it. He surpassed it, and that's when he got the 395. So he wanted 100k, and he got 395, 400k. Let's call it almost half a mil.
Yeah, mad.
Crazy. Mad. But what I like about that is just the drive and ambition is like, okay, this is my goal. This is how I'm going to get it. I'm going to spend a year working towards it.
Gonna grind.
And then he did it.
And as well, he kind of like broke the rules. Because remember, Caleb left, then there was the new manager that came in.
Yes.
So listen, man, read the book, man. Read the book. Yeah. So Caleb left, then a new manager came in, and the new manager didn't really know what was going on. Yeah. So the new manager was like, oh, are you the Swiss bank trader?
Yeah, he asked him what he does.
Yeah, he goes, he said, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm the Swiss bank trader. He said, oh, cool. And then, but he wasn't. Yeah. So he took that advantage, because that what gave him the ability to actually make the money that he needed to make for the bank, that he could get that bonus. I just want to quickly go back to the bit about Japan. So he said, so he made that trade, and he said, how would you feel if an earthquake happened and 20,000 people died and you made $11 million? That's £550 per person. That's a mad, because everyone, well done, man, well done. You're thinking, wow, 20,000 people died, bro. And everyone's happy about it. Yeah. And then he talks about there's a video, they were watching it, the video where one of the traders, he's in the building in Japan, and the earthquake's happening, and the trader's still trying to put on trades under his desk while the earthquake's happening. It's crazy. Do you see what I mean? So I can, like I said, I can see how we got to where he got to and why he's doing even what he's doing now. Because he mostly feels that, I don't want to say that money's, he mostly feels that that's not clean money that he's got. I think there's something in him that he feels, because it's a weird feeling. Like that's a perfect example. Like you're making money. Well, that money, people dying led to you making that money. Like verbatim. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's hard. It's hard emotionally.
Hard emotionally. Less, because he goes through a period of depression as well. Like he gets moved to Japan, but he goes through a period of depression. We'll come on to that a little bit, because I think it's time, man, to drop the Quentin Benting.
Go on.
Do you know how much I love this story, man? I was laughing so much when I was reading this. Yeah. So Gary got his job. His friend Harry, a job in the bank actually. Yeah. So again, connections. Yeah. He got his friend a job in Citibank.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were doing partying and whatever, and Harry was a partier. Harry was a partier, and he was going out with the brokers. Gary, by this time, had stopped really partying, and Harry was still going out. And Harry was also like a little brother to him.
Yeah, and Harry's mum died.
Yeah.
And he moved in with him, and he looked after Harry.
He looked after Harry. So they were living together.
Yeah.
They were living together. And Gary had a girlfriend at this time, and Gary went in the office one day. Harry had partied the night before and brought people home to the party, and I think Gary went out at 2 a.m. and just grabbed a glass of milk in his boxers or underwear and just kind of said, Harry, what are you doing? And just drank his milk, and then all the traders, all the brokers and everyone just left. Anyway, the next day at work, he gets a message from Quentin Benting. And the message from Quentin Benting says, I met your bird last night. She's pretty fit. So he's thinking, who the hell is Quentin Benting? So Quentin Benting was a broker.
That's a disrespect.
That's a disrespect, yeah?
Oh my
disrespect, yeah? So, so he's thinking, who's this Quentin Benting, yeah? So Quentin Benting works at ICAP. So he finds out Quentin Benting works at ICAP PLC, which is a broker company. And then who was it? One of his colleagues saw the message. I think it was JB, Gary's colleague, saw the message and said, "Who's Quentin Benting?"
This is
like,
fine.
And he's like, "I don't know."
Big up JB though. JB, you know what? No, that's my guy right there.
He's a real one.
Friend. Yeah, that's a real
He's a real one.
He
said. So then he said to all the traders, "Traders, turn the lines off for ICAP. No one deal with ICAP. Turn the lines off. You're not." And if they ask why, tell them it's Quentin Benting. So they closed the lines.
Yeah. They stopped trading with them. Yeah, sick.
Listen,
sick. Power.
This is Citibank, you know. This isn't like your local business. They can just, the fact that he had the power to just turn off the taps is mad. So anyway, the taps were closed for a few days. Then Gary met with Quentin Benting and said to him, like, you know, listen, Harry's my guy. Take care of him on nights out. Like, you better look after him because that's my little brother. Like, take care of him. And then that was it. Then he comes back.
Let him off the...
Yeah, and he let him off. Yeah.
There must be stuff that he didn't talk about in the book.
Maybe.
He don't want to incriminate himself or something.
Yeah, maybe. But they met after the lines were closed for a few days. So ICAP's not earning no money from them. Which is like...
It's a lot of Citibank.
No, I thought that was mad. Turn off the taps, yeah? Anyway, then they met, squashed the beef, whatever, said, look after Harry, that's my guy. Went back into the Citibank. All right, everyone, the lines are back on to ICAP. You can deal with them again. Like, mental.
Yeah, big.
Mental.
Big.
Anyway, I was reading that section.
Why did that story get you?
Because I just thought, how can you just shut the lines off? This is Citibank. There should be procedures. You can't just because someone messaged you.
Obviously you can.
I know, obviously you can, but in a big city company, there should be procedures where that's not possible because it's just mad, isn't it? I just
there
thought
should
it was
be,
mad.
but it is what it is, isn't it? So you've seen this. You've seen that there's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, you've seen that there's not. The procedure is, I'm the biggest boss here, so I'm gonna tell you what time it is, and everyone's gonna fall in line. Because again, like you said, it's that boys' club. You mentioned at the beginning, like we look after each other. Like with the same thing with the chicken thing. When he ate the chicken and the guy looked after him on the low. They're looking after each other. Scratch my back.
Yeah, no, it's true. I guess it's similar. Like if you said, Tyler, don't work with this person, it's like, all right, cool. Say no more.
I mean, but I know what you're saying. You're thinking this is corporate. This is
but that's what I'm thinking. This is us. Like we're not big boy companies. You know what I mean? So it's like this is Citibank. For you to be able to do
the biggest bank in America. Like
one of the biggest banks in the world. For you to be able to just turn off the taps is
well, bruv, go to show, innit?
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Do you know what I mean? But you know what? Just to stay on that narrative a little bit, because that was JB that actually patted him up and had his back for that, and his and JB's relationship strained so much towards the end.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's so many good stories in this book. I'm not going to go too deep into the story, but JB wasn't doing so well. He wasn't performing. He wasn't working hard. The spoils of money had kind of got to him, and him and JB JB was supposed to do something. He was supposed to do something for JB. Sorry, a trade, but JB didn't respond to a text message. So he was supposed to. He texted JB saying, "Oh, your trade is failing. Basically, you need to get back in the office and deal with it." JB missed a text. He came back to Gary and was shouting at him and all that, and Gary was just like, well, he gave him, he just said, he basically was like, handle your own business. I can't remember exactly what he said, and he said something back to JB that JB said to him a few years prior. And it goes to show from, again, being that guy that was looking up to JB and, getting advice, and then even then JB just looks like, he said, wow, that man said that about your girl? No, we're not dealing with that guy no more. Yeah. To get to the other side where now it's like, JB's going through whatever he's going through, and you're just like basically turning your back on him. Do you know what I mean? So it just shows, and that's not a judgment, that's just kind of what he kind of portrayed in the book. So the relationships in the book really, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, man. It was a very emotional roller coaster with lots of different relationships with the different people in the book. And I guess I want to talk about when he moved to Japan because he was depressed. He was severely depressed.
Yeah, well, he asked to leave, didn't he?
Yeah,
and they
he
offered him.
asked to
So
leave. Yeah.
this was another side, the darker side
Yeah.
of the city, because at the end of the day, you're an asset to them. Like Gary Stevenson, top trader, he can't just come in. He can't, as you can see, he can't come in and just hand in his notice and say, yeah, you know, I want to leave. I'm done. I think I'm done.
You're making the bank 20 million
You're
a
not
year,
doing
10
that, bro.
million a year.
You're not doing that. You're not leaving. So they said to him, all right, you can't. And Caleb actually said to him, if you want to leave, the hack is apparently, if you want to leave, you got to go. You can only leave, you can work for a charity. So he gave all that spiel. They said no. So then he asked for a sabbatical. They also said no. They said, look, we'll go and work. And Caleb was setting up a desk in Japan. He's like, okay, go with Caleb to Japan. So that was kind of like his balancing act. And then he went to Japan. He had a lot of different experiences out there.
Yeah.
He spoke a lot about food.
Yeah, spoke a lot about food.
Yeah, I didn't really like that too. I didn't love that. Like,
Okay.
I was like, it's a bit boring for me.
Well, he spoke about, you know, at one point he was just going to work. He wasn't really working. He was just living off the paycheck.
Yeah.
And
But this was because he was done.
Yeah,
He was done. And Citibank wouldn't let him leave.
Yeah.
To the point where they put him on sort of like gardening leave. And they gave him like a dead end job in there. It was weird that they just kept him on.
And do you know what it was actually? No, he had accrued, like, they hold back some of your bonus.
Yeah, that was it.
They hold back some of his bonus. And apparently, I've read some stuff, it's quite standard.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to leave, fine, but you don't get your bonus.
Yeah,
but he's like, well, I made that money, so I want the bonus.
That bonus was either 1.6 million or 2.5 million, one of those two.
Okay.
So,
but anyway, it was a million. It was
a lot of money.
Yeah. So he's like, I want to leave and I want my bonus.
Yeah.
So he kind of just stayed in the company fighting it out.
because they pay it incrementally.
Yeah.
So you don't just get your, say it's the 1.26, you don't just get that in one hit. You get that every 6 months, you might get X amount. And you know, that's how they keep you there.
Yeah.
Because again, if they just give you 2 mil,
Yeah.
you can just leave today. So it's just, you know, it's a strategy that they use.
So, yeah, he wanted to leave. So he was working in Japan, but he wasn't really working. He was just going to work and cycling home. And at one point he says in the book, oh, I felt like this was the best job in the world because I'd just go and learn Japanese, go to the cafe, eat food.
Yeah.
And he was really depressed during this time. He was going running a lot. And I want to touch on something as well, actually, in terms of the mental state, which I found quite interesting in the book and really, really sad. This was back when he was in UK. He had finished a day at work, coming home, and he was walking down the street and he said he just ripped off a wing mirror off a car door. He just ripped it off for no reason. He's like, there was no reason whatsoever for him to do that, but he was just mentally unstable in that moment that he just like, I'm just ripping it off.
Yeah.
And it just kind of shows how low he was at that moment in time.
Even just to add to that, sorry, after he made one of his big bonuses, and his girlfriend was like, bro, you got holes in your shoes. But where he was, we got to talk about this. He was so in the zone. He was trading he wasn't changing.
Yeah.
He wasn't washing. He was waking up, cycling to work on the computer in his cycling gear, hoodie on, drinking coffee, working. Wouldn't like, where's the life? So, but he's a millionaire at this point, and you got holes in your shoes. Only when his girlfriend pointed out to him, he was like, oh my God, I didn't even realise.
Yeah.
So again, it points to the mental state he was at.
There's so much more we could talk about.
Yeah.
We don't have time, man. Just quickly, what's your power?
You know what,
What's your power of the pages?
The power of the pages of this, for me, is that money doesn't buy you happiness, man. Money doesn't make you happy. And this guy was a millionaire. And so yeah, man, that was it really. It's money. And again, you'll have people that'll be like, you know, I'd rather be sad in a Lambo or...
Yeah. We spoke about it in the last book,
yeah. So I think the sad thing is, there's a saying out there, I'm going to get it wrong, but the saying is like, money can't buy you happiness, but people have to, not everyone's going to make enough money to realise that that's the case. So what people should do really is learn from experiences like this. I think as well, you know, the message through the book about the economy is something that people should pay attention to. Again, I don't know much about this kind of stuff, but I know enough I know what I see. And I know the disparities, you know, growing up in KNC, you see there's a big wealth divide, and things like that are unhealthy. So I think, pay attention to the economics of the world, really, of UK, and also money doesn't buy you happiness.
Yeah.
What's yours?
There's lots that I took from this, man. There's lots.
There's more, but we haven't
yeah, there's more, man. I'm just going to put my power on something positive, really. The positive aspect of him was try and work smart. You know, like I said, he was going in early to get Bill the coffee. You know,
Yeah.
Think outside the box to progress your life. He did all these, you know, different maneuvers to progress his life. So just think outside the box, man. Obviously easier said than done, but that's really what I liked, and that was the power for me. This was your pick.
Yeah.
Difficulty rating.
Well, Max, did you send that thing that I asked? Did you send it? Where, on WhatsApp? Text. Oh, sorry. I just got a question for you. Sorry.
Okay,
cool.
cool.
But
Okay.
you know, quiz. You quizzed me, so I wanted to.
Oh,
quiz
okay.
You.
So you're throwing a curveball out here,
curveball.
yeah?
Sorry,
Okay.
I know we're out for time. Thanks, Max. Oh, okay. Too many zeros. How much money did you make in bonuses?
Ooh. Give me some options, bro. I gave you 3 options.
I know. This didn't go to plan. I didn't plan this properly. 4 million. We'll do round figures. 4 million, 7 million, or 10 million.
7.
No. no, I'm trying to do the numbers. No, he didn't. He made just over 4.5 million.
Okay, 4.5 million in
you're
bonuses.
So you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. But yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So, Pat, what was the question again?
Difficulty rating.
Difficulty rating. Just because of the size of the book and the topic, free, because it's quite hard to get to understand economics.
Yeah.
And he does make it as simple as possible, but it's still quite hard to get your head around.
Do you know what? The math side of it was quite hard. The trading side, what I thought, he did a really good job of articulating and explaining how the trades work, but I can't re-explain it to someone else. I understood it when I was reading it, but I didn't understand it enough. So anyway, it was quite hard to get your brain around, but it was good. So, I mean, 2.5. It wasn't the easiest.
We're back here on, I thought we moved past this.
Past what?
The 0.5s.
Oh, no, I'm 0.5s in some aspects. Yeah, 2.5 cool. Difficulty rating. Star rating.
Star rating.
Listen, the last book,
I gave an honest answer.
You know, you was terrible.
No, I wasn't.
This book better be. Book better be. Just know that.
Oh,
God.
It's your birthday, so I'm going to let that one go, because the finger pointed.
Good.
I'm not joking. It's a 4, man, and this is my book anyway. Yeah. So yours better be, yeah? This is my book anyway. It's a 4. It's a 4. Yeah, I would have given it a 5, but the last chapter with the... No. There was a point which I just wanted to get to the end to find out how we ended up leaving, and he's kept talking about I rode here and I met these guys here, and that was boring for me. So I would give it a 5 if it wasn't for those last like 3 chapters. Yeah. So, but 4.
Yeah, I somewhat agree. The last chapter was anticlimactic.
Was it?
Did
you read the bit after the chapter?
Yeah, about how he left the bank and...
The postscript. Did you read when they spoke about him in the meeting?
Yes.
Right, cool.
So that was... Yeah, we'll read the book.
Yeah.
But how he got out of Citibank was anticlimactic because he was left it quite vague. We don't have time to go on it. But anyway, I thought, anyway, I'm giving it a 5, man.
Yeah?
I loved it. I loved it, man. This book was a 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. I'd read it again.
Yeah.
I loved it. But yeah, next episode.
Good choice, by the way.
Good choice. Yeah. Next episode, we are reviewing emotional intelligence. I'd like to think I have somewhat okay emotional intelligence, but I want to improve it. If you do too, join us on our 1 book a month challenge and read it, or read this book, or read What's Your Dream, or read something. Watch the review that's on the screen now. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But remember, this is the power of pages.
And we review books.